All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you all are here to talk about summer reading. We're just going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm Cara Ryman, the Children's Literacy Specialist for the Maine State Library. So I'm essentially here to help you guys in any way that I can. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to me with any questions or comments or anything.
Information here, the goals that they share, the why program for different age groups. There's some language in the teen space that really shows like why bother programming for teens. These are all things that help you whenever you need to justify your budget for doing this kind of programming. So you don't have to go find out all of the language. A lot of this is right here for you. It gives you timelines and startup guides. There's so much stuff here. There's publicity strategies. I know I'm scrolling fast. Let's see, I want to get down here. There's accessibility inclusion. So there's a whole committee that's part of this program that focuses on accessibility and inclusion with all of the programs that you see in the manual. There's calendar PDFs that you can use. There's certificate help here. Like there's so much stuff in just this first 32-page spiel in the opening of the manual. Flyers, PSAs, all of that. We have like videos that you can access on the website. There's a whole bunch of stuff here to help you do what you have to do. And if we look at the manual itself, I think, do I want chapter? I want chapter 2. I'm feeling a little punchy today. So there's the owl pellet dissection that I was drawn to. So we can see that the age groups are kind of on the tab. It outlines the activities for you. It gives you all of the things that you need to do your thing. Let's see, where is it? Page 80. I think there's the owl pellet. So you'll see that the children's tab is listed. So this is for age 8+ years. And on the side, on the right side, you'll see that there's some tips, but there's also adaptation. So you can get some ideas on how this would work if you have a group of younger kiddos, but also some adaptations that are available to you without too much of your own brain power for older age groups. And so we know that before these manuals the chapters were early literacy was all contained and children's was all contained. And now it's by theme. So every chapter has programs for all ages. But what's interesting about that is many times, just like this example, it might be children's, but there's opportunities for you to expand that into other age groups. And again, if you know the adults in your library, like I personally, I think this would be kind of fun for an adult program too. But it could also be that I'm just having that kind of a day. The other thing that's available to you, and I don't know, Cara, if you want to jump in, but we've found that sometimes the web access is a little bit clunky, especially when you're looking at artwork. And so the artwork that you have in the manual, I think the online version, you have to kind of download each individual file, and that can take a bear of a time. If you get the USB version, and the USB with the artwork comes packaged in the physical manual too, so if you prefer the paper stuff, it's a little bit easier because you have all of the artwork in JPEG and PNG files that you can just access if your computer isn't, there you go, really quick, and downloading all of those individual files from the web version takes so long. So if you are prone to using the artwork, I would say that Cara and I definitely recommend prioritizing the USB version of the manual.
I've also seen if you use the social media toolkit that CSLP created, the artwork is in there as well.
Fabulous.
And I'll pop that link into the chat right now.
Yep, great. Yeah, the Facebook banners are on the USB, but the toolkit itself has more items for you. There's also, I mean, there's just so much in here. You have calendar templates. It's and really the one thing that I will also say, if you have the USB, you can access that. Like if it's February break and you have a bunch of kids popping in your library once we're able to reopen again, you can use some of these programs again. It doesn't have to end with the end of summer program. So I know that there are some folks who have several years just at the ready if they need a quick program and your capacity is limited. This is a very helpful strategy for a lot of people. So CSLP is available to you if you have further questions. I don't want to take too much time just drilling in if you are all aware of how it works already. But Cara and I are your reps. If you have questions, we are here to help you figure that out. I also wanted to show you today, well, here's the mission statement for CSLP. Maine Humanities Council, we've done, you may or may not have noticed, a lot of rejiggering. And the pandemic for us was actually a moment where we took the need to stop everything that we do and really change how we do all of our work so that it is more expansive and flexible. So a lot of our reading and discussion programs that were library based were really geared towards adults. And I want to point out to you, the discussion project is the new version of our book group model. And it has been brought into library communities for teens. I definitely think we could also figure out a way to supplement some story time with discussions. For real, this is an application that is available to you as youth librarians. It is not hard to fill out. I will drop the links into the chat too. It's called the Discussion Project. If you have questions, you can call me. I will walk you through how to do everything. You have a lot of autonomy on the books that you read, the text that you read, the films that you watch and discuss together. There's so much here. The other thing I want to point out to you is that we do have grants. And those grants are also available to you. Our mini grants, which are up to $1,000. There's one that opens April 8th and is due on May 6th. They are not that difficult to complete, but I know that sometimes grants can be a little bit overwhelming for if you're not used to writing them. We have support at the council. There's 2 folks who are primaries on the grants team who will walk you through whatever you need. They will look at a draft of your application if you want. You can also talk to me and I can support you if you choose to submit a grant. But that is one way that you might be able to enhance your summer programs with some additional dollars. So I feel like, you know, that's some things in a nutshell for you. But I am always here to answer questions. I will drop Maine Humanities websites in the chat as well as my email. But I will pass things back to you, Cara, to keep us moving forward.
Thanks, Nicole. Did anyone have any quick questions for Nicole before we move on about what she covered?
Do you see the questions in the chat, Cara?
Yeah, I'm scanning.
Yes. Yeah.
Harper, thank you. Discussion projects, yay.
Yes, the Audubon backpacks are awesome.
Oh, and Scarborough, yeah, you are doing a group now too. Awesome. That's right. Yay, Louise.
All right, so we're handing it over to Chris next. Take it away.
I'm unmuted now. The theme. Da-da-da. Cara, your face is in the way of my presentation button. Stop moving. So obviously Tails and Tales. I was a little nervous because I didn't really know where STEM could fit in. And then I fell into a hole where I spent 2, 3, a whole day looking at animal bums. And so now I'm really excited because there are actually so many experiences and questions that you can do if you want to stay true to the theme and actually talk about tales and animals. Also, my niece showed me this book. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. It is called Animals Brag About Their Bottoms. I'm in love with it, and I think everyone should have it in their collection because not only is it super body positive, but the artwork is so much fun and it's just cute and it has a great message. So highly recommended. Animals Brag About Their Bottoms. Also, the elephant is hilarious. So these are just some examples of either PDFs or in person, whatever we happen to do in this weird COVID land we are. So this is for the little ones to see if they can actually identify whose tail this is. And then you can start that discussion of, well, why does the tail look like that? What would be the reason they would need to develop or evolve into a tail like this? A couple of them are giveaways. It's really hard to get a zebra's tail without actually showing some of the zebra. And again, these will all be available eventually in Gmail or in the G Drive that Cara has going up. This is for probably pre-K to first grade. And again, this is just cutting out a group of animal bums or tails and then grouping them, because STEM doesn't have to be, mapping DNA or, dissecting frogs who start with tails and then lose their tails. Ooh, that could be a thing too. This is a basic grouping that you do in almost every story time. Take these animals and say, okay, is this fluffy or smooth? Is this short or long? Is this scaly versus fur? You can do it by colors. And again, it's all about getting them thinking about those scientific methods and concepts. And then of course, more animal bums, so you guys don't have to go out and find them. Bonus points if you can name all of those bums. Some of them I tried to be tricky about. This is another one for the older students, probably second grade and up. Have the kiddos, create a list of animals that they know, and then think about, well, where do they live? What do they eat? If they have predators or competitors. And you can do this as a group. You can break them up to small groups and just ask questions to see if they can figure out, why do polar bears have tiny, short, stubby tails? Why does a whale have a flat tail? And why does a shark have a tail that goes straight up and down? There are reasons. And once you have that discussion, probably like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how much your students get into it, you can play the create your own animal or tail game. You need a D6 for the nerds. That is a 6-sided die. And you're just going to have your students roll. And they're going to be able to choose the number on the die. It's either going to be a climate, they're going to choose an animal size, a terrain, and a favorite food. And again, make sure your students know, to have fun. I ended up with a continental tiny, I can't see because the chat's over it, so we're just going to say forest meat eater. And I think I ended up making a fluffy scorpion. They can have fun with this. Let them be excited. Let them use their imaginations, but make sure that they understand the whole point is to develop and evolve their creature around what kind of tail would they have to have. And I know some of you are looking at these and being like, Chris, I don't understand. I made vocab. It's not 100% done yet. will be done by the time I pass it out. So you guys, everyone has vocab available. I'm hoping to do a few more examples. This is just where I got everything. And there will be more examples. I'm still playing with a couple programs. Cara and I have something in the works. She'll probably talk more about that. But those are just to get started. If anybody has anything else, if anybody can make a self-standing weight-bearing kangaroo tail, like I can't make the fluffy part of the tail because I can't sew in a straight line, but I do have rebar and I'm able to weld. So like I can make the shape, I just can't make the tail. So if we have any sewers, I'm taking applications. Like I'll even like send you fabric. I just needed the tail. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get that out and I'll send it out through Cara for the listserv.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris?
And again, those will all be available on the G Drive.
Okay, hearing none. So yeah, I do want to share, Chris and I have come across a project that they did in Michigan, where they sort of did an online scavenger hunt for teens. And the clues were on a bunch of libraries' websites across the state. And we would like to do that here for the summer. So we're recruiting anyone who would like to help us put it together. Go ahead and put your name in the chat. I'll save the chat and I'll pick your names out from there, and we'll get an email chain going. It should be fun. If I can find it, it's my turn to present next, but if I can find the link, I'll post that in the chat too, so you can check out Michigan's project. Thanks, Sam. All right. So I have had fun creating some programs and activities for you guys that are ready to go. Some of them are programs that you could do. Some of them are things you can give out as make and takes. Some of them are things that you can display. And so this is the Summer Reading 2021 folder, which the link I will also share to you. You guys will have access to all of this stuff. This is the programs folder. So I just want to show you a few of the things. I did a set of Whose Tale. These are created, I know it looks weird like this, but it's created in a way that you can fold it in half, so you could just put it on a wall and they say who's, and they flip it up to see the answer. So again, that's something that you could give out or something that you could hang up in the room. I made a magnetic fishing instructions with animals that you can, again, hand out or use. Some things I just created instructions for. Stuffed Animal Sleepover, I think, will be a popular program this summer, because you can even do it if you're not open. And I really made this one for how to run it with only one staff person, because I know so many of you are working solo. So there's just a lot of information here about how to do that. I made some little templates for rhymes and finger plays. I like this one for a display. Bunch of animals in the different heights, so you can line them up by their measurements, and kids can stand there and see what they're as tall as. I was surprised that turkeys are 3 feet tall. I did not know that. And we get the emu, and we top out at the moose. I'm assuming you don't have taller than 7 feet people in the library. I did this Storytime cube. I did a couple of different cubes, so you can roll it and could have create your own Storytime this way. And I did another one with animal actions. Open Sesame, there you go. So they can color that one in as well. I did the Down by the Bay song, which is one of my favorites. And I drew the characters so that they can color and decorate those and have them. So just a lot of stuff in here, all ready for you guys to go use it. Hopefully you find it useful. The other thing, so everything in here is for you guys. I have this Animal Crossing presentation. My friend who's a librarian in Massachusetts has been using Animal Crossing with their library really successfully. And I know it's not like super popular anymore, but I think a lot of people are still playing it or would get back into it if they could interact with you guys online. It does take quite a bit of prep time to get started. For anyone who's played Animal Crossing, you know you have to take a while to build up your island and stuff. But so her presentation is here. You guys can look at it, check it out, and see if it's something you want to give a shot to. I also uploaded some of the things from CSLP that you might be interested in. The calendar, they made this reshelving sign for this summer. You can do it, come on. So this, and it's a Word doc, so you can edit it for your library in particular. The press release, the activity log, all that stuff is there. Let me go back into a presentation. So everyone had a really hard time with stats last summer. We didn't know what we were doing. It was hard to keep track. We know a little bit better this year. These are the instructions, and well, you can't, that would get out of the way. There's a link here at the bottom of the slide to the full document on the MSL website. But this is just a chunk of it. It tells you the basics. You count attendance at your virtual programs, and then you count the total views of a program separately. So you want to keep separate stats for that. And it tells you here, they use the 1 minute mark and not the 10-second view mark, but you can use the 1 minute mark. And stats this past summer were pretty dismal, right? Like everyone was all over the place. And, there's potential for this summer to be problematic as well. Everyone's got the online Zoom fatigue and everything, and the kids, I don't know how they're getting through the school year, doing so many things virtually. But we have to remember that their stats do not equal your impact. And I know everyone needs to report their stats to make sure you maintain funding, all of that happy stuff. So I'd like to recommend you spend some time this summer collecting stories, anecdotal stats, so that you can share those, because, a comment from a parent about how useful your make and takes are can go a long way, rather than just saying we had 20 people who watched a video. So collect stories. I would recommend saving any feedback in a folder, make a spreadsheet to collect it, whatever makes sense for you. And I recommend doing it all along, because you're going to forget. It's easy to forget what someone said. Hey, that was a really great program. So just drop it into a spreadsheet. Another way that you can do it is to do a feedback card. This is in that G folder as well. It's editable, so you could put your logo in there. And it's something that you could have out if you end up doing any outside programs or anything. You can have a stack of those. You can slip them into make and take bags, and just ask them, or you can change the questions, whatever you'd like to know. And that's an easy way to collect some feedback. Just have them, drop it back in your book return or whatever. I feel like parents are going to be pretty willing to just jot a quick note, and that's also a good way to keep track. So these are all the resources that we have for you. The Google folder CSLP has its own Pinterest board. Chris and I also have a Pinterest board that we've been creating and throwing all kinds of things on. Some of them you'll see where we got inspiration for some of the programs we put together. Some things are just standalone. There's a lot of really cute animal stuff there. So these are our email addresses. And we're gonna do breakout groups in a minute.
I think there's Sheila posed when doing live programs, it's hard to watch the numbers in the corner while doing the program. And I'm wondering if anybody has strategies or suggestions on how you might be tracking those numbers so that you're more confident about the final count. And Harper is following up with, are these on Facebook Live or other?
I believe you can, right after you finish the live one, if you go back into the video, it should tell you how many people watched it, and you can use that for your live stat. Yeah, under insight. If you ever need help locating that on your Facebook page, reach out to one of us. We'll help you figure it out. Any questions before we move on, or comments? Feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Okay, so we sort of powered through that much faster than I thought we would. So we've got a little bit longer. So I'm gonna sort you into 3 breakout groups. Nicole, Chris, and I will be in one of us will be in each of your groups. And we'll take some notes, and then we'll come back together and share. So the questions for you to think about: what are you planning so far? What do you need to do? What you'd like to do? Are there resources that you could use? What questions do you have, or what else would you like to share? And you can really talk about anything around summer reading. I'll toss those questions into the chat too, so you don't lose them. So before we do a little share out, I want to do just a couple of polls to sort of get the temperature of the group. So go ahead and launch that now, and if you'll pick your answers, I'll share the results. The CSLP question is more for Nicole and I's knowledge, just out of curiosity.
I am encouraged. I know y'all can't see it, but no one's answered what is CSLP, which makes me a little bit relieved, because I would have been very, very mad.
All right. Share the results. Can you all see the results? Okay. Yeah, so a lot of you do use CSLP. That's good to know. So we'll keep working on that. So 5 people are doing all virtual. No one selected all in person. 6 people said a combo, and 16 are kind of wait and see. I think that's the hardest part of this, right? You don't want to make decisions earlier, and we don't have any idea what 2 months from now will look like, but you also have to prepare and market your stuff. What a nightmare. All right, so group 1, Lucy, would you share just a little bit that we talked about?
Yes. My disclaimer is we had a vast and far-reaching discussion about many things, so it's hard to summarize. But there were some really fabulous ideas, including, bringing in some outside experts like the folks at Chewonki. One of our group members had a wonderful idea of going to farms and reading to animals and videotaping that getting that on video. We talked about collaborating with local, everybody from rec departments to land trusts and other groups. And we had a long conversation about story walks and where story walks could happen in public places. We talked about incentivizing kids to finish reading. We spent some time talking about the beauty of simplicity and not trying to do so much that you feel really burned out in August. We recalled some of the favorite programs that have happened in the past and shared some of those ideas. And yeah, I think that's a summary.
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. Anyone else from group one just want to chime in on anything? Sam's done storytime videos on farms and horse rescue centers. Yeah.
Someone did mention the idea of kids reading to earn pet food for a food bank for animals or SPCA.
Awesome, thanks. Group two.
Wait, was that us? Were we group two? I don't even know what group we were. We had numbers?
Yes, Chris, you were group two.
Okay, I'm on then.
Okay.
Group two, we really touched on the thought of planning. Are we doing inside? Are we doing outside? And the whole wait and see and how stressful it can be. But we did come up with ideas of parking lots and if there's larger spaces in the community. And when will it be safe? When all adults are vaccinated, who knows when, and is that really safe to do in person? I think that's pretty much what we have. And we were all feeling, acknowledging that a lot of our patrons are just really screen fatigued. And then we did talk about the motivator for teens to be involved. We did quite a bit of talking about different teen ideas. And Katie Avery has amazing teen make it, take it crafts that she's done. And she's gonna try to post some of that because we asked her for more because we were all excited about that. Possibly using the teens for being a moderator on a Zoom program that you're doing was an idea Chris threw out at us. And then we just really talked about the, I think our group was a little, we're just really needing each other to come up with ideas. I think that's kind of got the sense. So anybody else, feel free to jump in from our group.
I think that was pretty good. We had a lot of good ideas. But I think the big thing is we definitely tried to dive deep into teens and see how we could either help them with community hours or get them more involved because they did lose that agency. And because someone mentioned the grab and goes for the teens, that because most people think that teens always want to be online and they don't have anything tactile, like giving them something to do with their hands, like that's a huge relief. And I wish I had thought about it. So excited about that one.
Awesome. Thanks, group two. Group 3.
Hey everyone. So what we did in group 3 is I popped the questions in chat and I let everybody go to town, and I just sat there and I recorded everything in notes. And it was a very robust and energetic conversation. And so the brief overview began with some discussion about how to donate to the local pet shelter. So something that came up just a couple minutes ago. And so some cautions were, if you are a municipal library, your community might have some restrictions on how you're able to donate any dollars that your library is dishing out. So to check on that. Somebody went and asked Hannaford for a donation, and they donated a $25 gift card, which the kids that finished and submitted their end of summer things, they were listed as the donors for that final hoo-ha. Others, their friends group helped by providing a $1 donation per summer participant who completed summer reading. There was some challenges overall for most of the summer program ideas, where a lot of people signed up, but there weren't a lot of completions. And so there was some discussion on how do you deal with that? How might you deal with that? There was a lot of conversation about make and takes. A lot of people are doing some version of that, and it is successful. And that success is not demonstrated through particular feedback as much as it is through the way and that people quickly scoop up those options when they are released into the wild, whenever that moment is. And indeed, there's been expansion to teen and adult services for those make and take items, take and make items, take home bags, and that's successful and encouraged across the board. We had some conversation about how do we make summer program feel special when we can't be in person. And so there were some ideas about doing things outside and decorating the exterior of your library space with signage. That moved into a conversation with an idea for a round robin read aloud to use community members in a public space with mics, a teacher, which might make kids really excited to see somebody outside of school because they have real lives too. To ask the public theater group for volunteers to do a story time outside or a read aloud outside, and to provide a schedule and signage outdoors where people can see, oh, I want to go and hear so-and-so read this book. There was a suggestion about going to a farmer's market, and, again, some question on how do you translate that if you have to remain 6 feet apart. And my notes were covering all of the faces, so I don't know who did this. I don't have the name attached, but it wasn't last year, but previously when in-person was okay, the farmers market story time, they brought 35 different picture books every week to the farmers market and read book after book with singing for 3 hours, the entire duration of the farmers market. And they would bring a pop-up canopy and a picnic mat for all the kids to sit on, and they brought a chair for themselves and the intern who was helping them out. They counted their numbers based off of who just stuck around for like one story or a song. But that was an entire summer, 35 different books, story times every single week. So we were all kind of mind blown at that description, and they're trying to think of how to do that in a modified way. The other cool idea was Teddy Bear Picnic. There's a company which will share the links and the promo code called Noah's Ark Animal Workshop, which is kind of like a Build-A-Bear thing. And so an idea was to spend some program dollars for an outdoor in-person limited registration where you build your animal and then kind of have a picnic together. The other conversations were about Beanstack and there's kind of a 50-50 feeling about it. People sign up, don't actually follow through. Paper is still what a lot of people like. However, it's helpful to track statistics, and some families actually like using it. We do have 2 questions that we want to pose to the full group. The first is just in-person library programs. Our group, there were a couple who were planning on very limited, potentially in-person things subject to change, but for the most part, the library is not doing in-person anything. So we were curious about what other people were doing. And then we were hoping that you could share with us, Cara, is there a website where all of the links and resources connected to today and other, like the Google Drive that you shared and other things where those will all live, that everybody can access? So that's the story.
Yeah, when I send out the recording to this, I'm going to include a big long list of all the links to things we've talked about. I'll also, when I upload the video to YouTube, in the info section, I'll have all the links down there as well. Does anyone want to address the first question about potential in-person programming?
I still go back to what we first talked about way back in May of last year, when we were thinking of doing it last year, and the concerns of, children, it's hard when they haven't seen each other and it's isolating, how it's going to still be hard to hold the smaller bubble groups safely. And I'm just wondering if we're still thinking that same way, or if there is some difference because we are being vaccinated. I'm just curious what other people think.
Yeah, so was group 3.
We did one in-person program on February break, but it was like there were a lot of like restrictions. It was one family at a time, and I mean family, not your pod group. Like you have to live together in the same house, and they had to wear masks. They had to stay 6 feet apart from the staff member outside, and all of our stations involved nothing that like other people were touching. So like there was like snowballs at a Target, and we had like one family per day. And like overall, do I feel like it worked in a safe manner? Yes, but it also felt like a lot of work for 3 families. Like, I mean, we had more times open that people could have signed up for, but they just didn't. And so to me, that was also kind of an indication that maybe my community is not quite ready for that yet. Although I do know that my Parks and Rec department has been doing in-person distanced programs for a little while, and they've had more success. So I don't know. There was no real regulating because nobody just showed up to do it. Like we only had the people who showed up that it was their time. They all came wearing masks. They all followed all the rules. So like I don't know. I mean, we were prepared to tell people like, no, you can't be here right now, but that ended up not happening for us. So we're not thinking about doing anything during April break because it did feel like a lot of work for a minimal amount of reward, I guess.
Anybody else? Okay. Just before we leave, a couple of housekeeping things. I think in about an hour, you should get an email from the calendar program that has a link to the survey in it. I would really appreciate if you would do that. We have to do those to keep getting our federal funding. And then hopefully within the next couple of days, I'll email you all with a recording and all of the links. It depends on upload and download speeds over the next couple of days. Sometimes it takes forever and a day. And then everything will be in there. Feel free to share with anyone else you think would like to see it. I want to give a shout out to this side, Reading Roundup. I hope you all are registered for that. I can't believe it's next month already, but it should be really great. Thank you all for coming today. It was a really good conversation, and I wish you all the best luck in everything for the summer. And Nicole, Chris, and I are always here for you, so don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day, rest of your day. Goodbye.